What's your "I was the only one to get away" story? Loads of people at a pub in my town that was notorious for not iding so had loads of underage people in there drinking. It was their busiest night of the year and the police raided it. Most people ran out the back and some hopped the fence, the rest tried to hide in the toilets. I just sat there drinking as the police came through the pub, pulling everyone out the toilets and back inside, IDing them all and taking names and addresses. The people who had jumped the fence decided to stand on the corner just outside to wait for their friends who hadn't been so lucky, they thought. Next thing they knew, the police had come outside and started IDing everyone stood on the corner like they had inside. Myself, and two friends, one of age the other, like me, not yet 18, had just sat there through the entire incident, drinking our pints and joking on with some of the better-natured cops. They didn't bother IDing anyone who hadn't run, so I was one of a very few of my friends who got away with it scot-free. I was gambling in Vegas on a Friday with friends' bachelor party coming up the next day. Playing blackjack, mostly just killing time waiting for dinner, but the table was on fire. It was a full table shortly after I sat down. I played for a couple hours and the table was all up on money, anywhere from $50,000 to $800. The $800 was me. Everyone else was literally up at least 10 grand. It's about 20 minutes before I'm supposed to meet up with someone, so I call it and head back to my room so I can shower and change for the night. Head out for dinner and have a good night. The next morning, my buddies call me down to the lobby to meet up. As I get down there, out of sheer coincidence they are talking to the dealer that was at the table when I left. She says, "There he is," and points at me. Friends are like, no. Turns out, I was the only one that walked away from that table with $1 to my name. My dad and I both work in casinos here in Vegas. Craziest story he ever told me was that one day a Canadian guy comes with like $1,000 to play with. He's never been there before, so he's all zeroed out. Anyway, my dad comes into his shift and the pit boss on shift before him tells him about the guys playing, and mentions the Canadian. My dad says, "So what's his split?" Language at the time for how much positive or negative he is, and the guy goes, $100,000 up. Well, how much has he lost? Well, he hasn't lost anything yet. He came in and just kept winning. He ended up with like $108,000. Next day. Same thing. This time he's $90,000 up, no loss. It was amazing. He says, "I'll quit at $200K. Guy ends up losing all $198,000 trying to get to $200,000. My dad can't remember exactly, but the guy left with like $1,200. Happens quite often, I'd imagine. I went to the casino almost daily for a few weeks when I was abroad and had about a month of downtime. I'd usually play around $100, after the first couple of days where I played less but won enough to sustain following returns, while sitting on tables with people throwing around thousands in single chips. I'd often find myself being the only one to walk away with either winnings or minor losses, while seeing people throw away insane sums of money until there was just nothing left. One woman in particular stuck in my mind, because she'd just play thousands of dollars, lose them all, get up, walk to the ATM, come back, repeat. Watched her lose something along the lines of $10K just while I was there, slowly but steadily doubling my 100. Just to make clear, I treated the casino as a fun pastime, not to make money. The first few days I played with my own money, figuring it was a nice investment for an hour of fun. After 2 days or so I kept playing just with previous winnings, and when I finally lost most of it, I stopped going. Just passing time, I was never trying to make major money. High school party, one of my first. I was wasted, throwing up in the basement bathroom when the cops arrived. Eventually they were let inside and stormed into the basement where everyone was hiding loudly with the lights off, with their flashlights beaming down into the dark. I want to say there were at least 30 people rounded up into the living room where they started calling parents. The host of the party saw me sitting on the mantel, having accepted my fate. She knew my dad would literally hoop and sent me out the window. I knocked over the grill on my way out and walked around the back of the house, through a few backyards, and to the neighborhood pool where I cuddled with some bushes for a few hours. When I saw the last cop finally leave, I sprinted back to the house and knocked on the door to be let in, scaring the out of the 3 survivors. A few dozen people were charged with underage drinking. Hotboxing a truck with some friends of a friend senior year in an empty parking lot of some park already high as, when suddenly the Taco Bell we had gorged on earlier is going in my bowels and holy I need a bathroom. I ran/stumbled my way to the public restroom on the other side of the parking lot. I finish and as I'm about to walk out I see what looks like red lights illuminating the entrance. I start losing I know it's cops and everyone's high as. At this point I knew my friends are. B what the should I do? I retreated in the farthest stall and texted my parents saying I was crashing at some dude's house. Ended up falling asleep in the stall. Woke up the next morning and got another friend to pick me up. Got away, no one ratted me out, and that's how Taco Bell simultaneously destroyed and saved my at the same time. Freshman year of college I had a group of friends that I'd smoke with. Towards the end of the year I decide I don't feel like smoking anymore, and also I had to get clean to apply for summer jobs. By this point they are getting more and start hotboxing this girl's minivan in a campus parking lot. One day I meet up with these guys to hear that they finally got busted. It's not surprise to me because hotboxing a car on campus is stupid. And here is the most important lesson kids. The school brought my friends in and presented them with a list of names. Every single dealer we knew of, even the ones we didn't use, was on that list. My friends were given the choice between expulsion, or pointing out the dealers they knew on the list. Cops didn't care about a few stoners smoking on campus, they cared about the dealers. So if you are thinking about making some extra cash selling pot in college, make sure you are as careful as possible, or just don't do it. People will always choose to rat you out when given the choice between that, or their expensive college careers. I went to a private high school and was part of a group of about 20 people who knew about a tent hidden in the woods behind our school. People would go there and have after school, smoke pot, and do hood rat. Someone got in trouble and ratted out all of us as an attempt to lessen her punishment. Apparently she was going to be expelled, and on the last day before finals we all got called down to the detention room and the dean told us that they had found drug paraphernalia and weapons, airsoft pistol, and made us all write down everything we know about the tent, and who we've seen at the tent. 19 people ratted out everyone in that room, including themselves, and were given pretty harsh punishments. 3 were expelled, some were suspended into the next year and the rest got demerits. I wrote down I have no idea what you're talking about, went and talked to the deans and said the same thing and was off the hook. I'm certain my name was on every list, and I'm sure they wanted to nail me but I denied and I guess they were satisfied with 19 people giving themselves up. Years back in high school my buddy threw a huge party. Unfortunately, not just our usual group showed up. It was well over 100 people. Anyways I was always on the lookout for cops or shady people. I had my reasons as to how screwed I would be had I gotten caught drinking. Sports, school, family, scholarships, etc. So the party goes on. More and more people we don't normally hang out with show up. So I grab my buddy and our DD and say we need to leave. Now. You can crash at my place, I don't care. Let's go. We hop into his car. That's when I throw a duffel bag of beer drunkenly into his trunk, followed by the sound of tabs popping and beer spilling. We pull out and drive away. We get a quarter mile down the road before we see 4 Colombian pesos cars headed to the house. The party was immediately shut down. Countless tickets written. People kicked off sports teams or clubs. What's funny is this same scenario happened 2 other times in high school. I left a party before the cops busted everyone and people got tickets the day before graduation. And another time I left a kickback which ended in the arrests of a few friends. My reputation still holds true. I always leave minutes before the cops arrive. Edit, number of students in my school. I exaggerated. I graduated with 505 students, with a total school size of 2,100.